In Westeros, there are tales older than time itself, whispered by fireside in the north, passed down by the maesters of the Citadel, and inscribed in the fading pages of ancient scrolls. These ancient tales speak of a time when the world was plunged into darkness and ice, a time when the very sun was blotted out and the living faced an unimaginable terror from beyond. This was the Long Night, the darkest chapter in the history of Westeros. 8,000 years ago, the Long Night came without warning. The world descended into an endless winter that lasted a generation. The days grew shorter, and eventually the sun disappeared altogether. What little warmth remained fled the land, and the snows piled high. But as the cold gripped the world, something even more terrible stirred in the furthest reaches of the north. In the millennia before the Seven Kingdoms existed, Westeros was a land ruled by the First Men. These early inhabitants had come to Westeros from Essos by crossing the Arm of Dorne, bringing their gods and their runes with them. For centuries, the First Men battled with the original inhabitants of the land, the mystical Children of the Forest. Eventually, a pact was made between the two, allowing for an uneasy peace. But as the First Men settled, their fragile peace was about to be shattered by a force neither side could have imagined. And so the Long Night came. It was not simply a harsh winter, no. It was the longest, coldest, and most brutal winter in the history of the world. Scholars believe it may have begun as a natural catastrophe, possibly triggered by volcanic eruptions or a shift in the seasons. Legend tells a different story, that the Long Night was a punishment sent by the gods, or perhaps a curse brought upon the world by dark magic. The true terror of the Long Night was not the endless cold or lack of food. It was the rise of the White Walkers, known as the Others by the First Men. These beings of ice and death came from the furthest reaches of the north, beyond the Frostfangs and the land of always winter. They were ancient, malevolent forces, beings who wielded cold magic and could command the dead. Legends suggest that the Walkers were more than just mindless killers. They were intelligent, strategic, and ruthless. Some believe they were once human, corrupted by magic, or created by the Children of the Forest during the Dawn Age to fight against the First Men. Children used their own magic, dragonglass, to create the Walkers, but their creation turned against them, becoming a threat to all life in Westeros. As the cold deepened and the White Walkers advanced, the living were on the verge of extinction. Crops had failed, entire villages had disappeared, and the north was blanketed in snow and death. But in its darkest hour, a lone figure emerged from the chaos, a man only known as the Last Hero. His name is lost to history, but his legend endures. The Last Hero's journey was one of desperation. With his home destroyed and his people dying, he set out with a small band of companions in search of the Children of the Forest. The children were believed to have a magical knowledge needed to defeat the White Walkers, and the Last Hero sought their help. But the journey was perilous. One by one, his companions fell, some from the cold, others from the White Walkers who hunted them mercilessly. Against all odds, the Last Hero found the Children of the Forest deep within their ancient groves. According to legend, they used their powerful nature magic, creating weapons that could harm the Walkers. It's from this alliance that mankind learned the secrets of dragonglass, obsidian, and later Valyrian steel, both capable of killing the White Walkers. Armed with this newfound knowledge and weapons forged from dragonglass, the men of Westeros, along with the Children of the Forest, waged war against the White Walkers. This final conflict, known as the War for the Dawn, would determine the fate of all living creatures. It was a battle fought in the coldest winter imaginable, with no respite from the unrelenting darkness. The legends say that the war was fought on multiple fronts, with the Last Hero rallying the remaining forces of the First Men. Together they stood against the White Walkers in the north. The battle stretched across the land, and the price of victory was paid in blood and fire. The dawn itself was said to have been a victory, a sign that the darkness had finally been driven back. Though the White Walkers were defeated, their threat was far from over. The survivors knew they had to take drastic measures to prevent their return. Thus the wall was constructed, a massive fortification of ice, stone, and ancient magic that stretched for over 300 miles across the northern border of Westeros. It was said to have been built by Bran the Builder, the founder of House Stark, with the help of giants and the children of the forest. The wall was more than just a physical barrier. It was infused with powerful spells to keep the White Walkers at bay, and alongside it came with the creation of the Night's Watch, an order sworn to defend the realms of men from the dangers beyond the wall. They took no wives, fathered no children, and swore their lives to a solitary existence in the cold. But with each generation, the memory of the White Walkers faded, and the Night's Watch became a shadow of its former self, watching for an enemy many believed to be long gone. Even though the Long Night ended, its shadow continued to loom over Westeros. The story of the Long Night became a cautionary tale, a warning passed down through generations. The Maesters of the Citadel recorded the events in their chronicles, but over the centuries some began to doubt the truth of the legends. Yet there are still those who believe that the White Walkers will return, and when they do, the world will once again face another long night. According to prophecy, the Savior would rise to defeat the White Walkers during their return, the Prince that was promised, also known as Azor Ahai. This hero is destined to wield a flaming sword, Lightbringer, and lead the living in the final battle against the forces of darkness. Many have speculated to the identity of this figure, with names like Rhaegar Targaryen and Jon Snow whispered among the hopeful. But whether their prophecy will become true remains to be seen. The Long Night may have passed into myth, but its lessons remain. The world of Westeros still bears the scars of that ancient war. The wall still stands as a reminder of the enemy that once came from the north. But as we've seen, the threat of the White Walkers is not a tale for children, it's a warning. And when the night falls again, will the world be ready? Thank you for joining me on this journey into the history of the Long Night. If you want to explore more of Westeros' rich and mysterious past, make sure you like and subscribe.